So we're going to start relative clauses, which is, I think, not a new topic for most of you, but it's an important one, and it's very, very useful for making sentences, okay? So sometimes you're talking about, you're making a sentence, right? And then, for example, I study Abhidhamma. I study Abhidhamma, right? And then now you want to talk about Abhidhamma. You want to add more information about Abhidhamma. So either you stop the sentence, finish the sentence with a period, and then you say Abhidhamma is, what can we say? Abhidhamma is the, huh? Okay, let's say Abhidhamma is the analysis of ultimate realities. That's not really true, but okay. Okay? So you can put these together in one sentence with relative clauses. I study Abhidhamma, which is, and I remove Abhidhamma, the analysis of ultimate realities. Okay? Which is... Huh? Both. You're going to have many examples coming, don't worry. It's not like finish. This is the lesson. Go home.
Now you cannot see, right?
Okay, I study Abhidhamma was the first sentence. Abhidhamma is the analysis of ultimate realities. And now we have I study Abhidhamma, which substitutes Abhidhamma, right? This which over here, this pronoun, which pronoun, is referring to Abhidhamma, you see? Is referring back to Abhidhamma, this which. But now it can act as a subject of a new clause. Because Abhidhamma, in this clause over here, for example, I study Abhidhamma. You cannot put Abhidhamma is. You cannot do that, you see? Because this is your subject, I. And then you have the verb study, which is done by the subject, let's say in general terms. And then you study what? Abhidhamma, that's the object of this verb study, right? Is this that you can put, for example, I study Abhidhamma, so I is the subject, and then you have the verb study. In this case, you have Abhidhamma as object. Then, this object, you cannot add a verb to this object. For example, Abhidhamma is blah, 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 blah. We cannot do that, okay? Sometimes you do that. So try to be very aware of this. You cannot add like a verb in this way to the subject. Later, there are other things we can do. Some participles come and do stuff. But here,
But we can put be.
I study Abhidhamma, being. Yeah, the participle can come, right? Yeah. Later. More complex. Okay? But just take this message. You cannot put a main verb conjugated as if Abhidhamma were the subject. You cannot just think of Abhidhamma as a new subject and say Abhidhamma is the teaching of the Buddha, for example. This we cannot do, okay? There are other ways of kind of saying that. But here what we're going to learn is making a new clause. So you bring up a new subject, which is a pronoun that will refer to that previous word. Okay? So then we have these pronouns. For example, in this case, which. We're going to discuss now all the pronouns that come. But in this case, we can use which for things that are not people. Okay? So I study Abhidhamma, which. Now, which just means Abhidhamma. It's just a pronoun like I, you, he, she, it, for example. But it's referring to Abhidhamma. Okay? And it begins a relative clause. A new clause, but it's called a relative clause. because it begins with a relative pronoun.
Look like it.
Yes, a bit like it. But you cannot use it over here, okay? I study Abhidhamma, in this case, which, and now which is your subject. Which is, and you can conjugate the verbs normally, like a new sentence, a new clause. Which is the subject, yes, which is the subject. You see? So here you have I is the subject, study is the verb, Abhidhamma is the object. Now you have a pronoun which refers to Abhidhamma and it becomes the subject of a new clause. Then you can add another verb conjugated for which is... In this, what can be used, but in this case you have to use which, not what. You can use who, you can use that, you can use what. Huh? Yeah, they become subjects, yes. So which is, okay, it's over there, no? I study Abhidhamma, this is the first sentence. Okay, here. I study Abhidhamma, which is the analysis of ultimate realities, okay? Which is the subject of the second clause. Is the verb, and now you have this complement. This is actually not an object. It's like a complement, okay? Just identifies the subject, not really an object, okay? But anyways, most important here is this which. So now look at this. We have a few different types of relative clauses, okay? So the first one is a defining relative clauses. You know to define, right? To define something, right? For example, you see a definition of a word, right? Definition is a noun. And to define is the verb, right? So this is a defining relative clause. Okay? It's a relative clause that defines. Okay? So we use this type of clause to specify. What is to specify? You understand, no? To make something specific. Specific, you know, right? Specify is the verb. To make specific. To make something more specific. Okay? So look at this, for example. That's the man. That's the man. That is the man, okay? That is, remember this pronoun? Demonstrative pronouns. This, that, these, those. Remember this? A1 grammar, no? This, that, these, those, yes. So they are also kind of pronouns. So that is the man, okay? You're talking about something, right? Demonstrative, it shows, to demonstrate, it shows. This, that, these, those, okay? So that's the man. Now you want to talk about the man. Who saved my life? You see? If it's a person, you can use who or that. This is important. You have to remember. Who or that. For people, not things. That's the man. This is the first clause. Who saved my life? Who is now the subject of a second clause. And you see, saved is the verb. And this subject, who or that, is doing this action of saving. And then my life, in this case, I think it's an object. Okay?
Save is object.
Huh?
Save.
Life is object. Save is a verb. Saved what? Saved my life. This one seems like an object. But the man is not an object of is, okay?
This one can mix with the present and past.
Yeah. This can be used in any tense.
Can mix together.
Yeah. Any tense. Any tense you can use this. Okay?
Because here is mixed, right? Present and past.
Yes, that is the man. Right now he is the man, right? And he saved my life in the past. So you can have multiple tenses.
But there's three subject.
No.
Is the man and who?
That is a subject.
Yes.
The man is not a subject. Yes, it's a complement. It just shows what that is. You have here two clauses, okay? you are not going to have a relative clause by itself. You cannot just say, who saved my life by itself. It's incomplete. It's like not a whole thought, not a whole idea. That's the man who saved my life. You're talking more about this man, okay?
But we can write a lot of clause, but only one sentence.
Yeah, one sentence, many clauses.
Can-
Yes. Okay? So that's the man is of our first clause. And then you have a second clause. And now look, one more thing over here is that this information, who saved my life, this relative clause, is defining who the man is. It's giving more information about the man, but this information is essential. It's very important. It specifies who the man is. This is why it's not between commas. You're going to see later other types of relative clauses that go between commas. They are separated by commas. Okay? So this one, you should not put a comma over here. So pay attention to the commas in this subject, in this topic. Okay? That is the man who saved my life. One whole thing, okay? Without commas. Let's see now if it's things or animals. Things or animals. He has a car. This is the first clause. He has a car. Now you want to talk about the car. Okay? This car costs a fortune. A lot of money, a fortune, right? You know a fortune, no? So instead of making a new sentence, you can smush them together into one sentence with two clauses. He has a car which costs a fortune. Okay? You can also use that. So you see here, if it's things or animals, we can use which or that. But people, we use who or that. So if you're in doubt, use that. Okay? Actually, that, because of this that is quite common in English. Yeah. Okay? It's very common in English. Yeah. I think you use it without knowing sometimes. You use it without knowing. Anyways, so this is also a relative pronouns, okay? Now we have here an adverb. When we're talking about place. That's the place where I met my husband. That's what you said, right? Sankita? Where, no? I think that's what we were talking about before. So that is the place. This is the first clause already, which, no? Anyways, that's the place. That's the place. Okay? This is the first clause. That is the subject, is the place. Here is the complement. Now I want to talk about the place. Extra information, where I met my husband. Okay? So you have this alien pointing at the planet. Oh, that is the place where I met my husband. Okay? He has a car which costs a fortune. Okay? And that's the man who saved my life. Superman. Okay? So all of these have no commas, you see? Here, some other examples. He met the police officer who saved his life. You see? He met the police officer who saved his life. You see, you're talking, what does who refer to? The police officer. Yeah, and it's the subject of this verb saved. Okay? We use which for things and animals, okay? We put on the suit which he wore for special occasions. He put on the suit, remember put? Put. Right? So you don't know if present, past, or what. Okay? He put on the suit which he wore for special occasions. Sounds like past. Yeah, this is past. Okay? We use where for places. Okay, this is the hotel. Now talking about the hotel where we spent our honeymoon. You know the honeymoon? You know honeymoon, right? Yeah. Huh? No. A honeymoon, yeah, after the wedding, usually there is a period of time in which the husband and the wife spend like together. Maybe usually they travel somewhere, something like that. So that's called a honeymoon.
The man cannot.
The man cannot. Yeah.
Man in forest.
Yeah. You can go on honeymoon with your meditation subject. Okay. So that is also used, you see over here, that, right? You can use that for people and things, but most often we use who for people and which or that for things, okay? Sometimes you can say that for people, but who is more common, okay? He's the neighbor who helped us to move out. Or he's the neighbor that helped us to move out. Change the cable which connects the computer to the printer. You see, connects is a verb. What is the subject of this verb? Here, either which or that. Okay? 2 clauses in one sentence. Okay?
Okay, what if the subject is plural?
Plural? The first one, you mean on the first clause or on the later clause? First clause. Then let's see, for example, the Chabagyas were a group of monks who, or that, same, were always looking for loopholes.
His question is, if not who was, not who was.
Yeah, there is no like who, other form of who, it's just who.
Can be
Who can be for plural, yes. Who or that. You see the same for plural.
And that word.
This is the first clause. Up to here is the first clause. The Chabagyas is our subject, right? It's a plural. Then they were, right? In the past. This is also plural. This is the verb, were. Then they were what? We have the complement, a group of monks. Okay? Now, I want to talk more about this group of monks who were always looking for loopholes. Who becomes the new subject of the new clause, or that. And now we have another verb. Remember, each clause has its own subject and its own verb, right? So this is the second clause. Okay, so who stays the same. Okay, and then the verb here will depend on what who refers to. Who in this case refers to plural, so then the verb must agree with the plural. Okay? Who were always looking for loopholes. Okay?
If we referring to
Possessions?
possessions,
Possessions? Belongings? Like what? Things. This is the chair. This is the chair that was recently offered. Passive. Was offered. You see verb to be here, and the participle was offered. No? This is the chair is the first clause. Now I want to talk about this chair that was recently offered. Another clause, relative clause. I could say that, or I could say, what is the other option? Which. Yes. A few decades ago, nowadays we don't say that anymore. I don't see it. But in the past, this H over here was actually pronounced which. Yeah. So if you listen to some older recordings, you may hear which. For example, in that book, Grammarland, they say which, what, which. Yeah. I remember when I was very young, my dad used to tell me which, and I used to try to repeat which. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Where? Yeah, where? A little strange, right? Nowadays we just say which, where, okay? But it's not wrong to say which, it's just a little older, I think. Which. Okay, let's see what else. So that can be used, but who is more often used for people, right? Now be careful, common mistakes, okay? I think some of these you may identify. You may identify with these mistakes. We cannot use what or an expression like that he, that she, instead of that. Okay, let's see what this means. That's the student. Okay, you have this first clause. Now you're talking about a person, right? You should say who, right? Or that, right? But you cannot say what, you see? That's the student, what I told you about. And this you do. That's the man, he tried to steal my wallet. This you do very often. That's the man, he. Okay? It's not a very bad mistake, but it's a mistake, okay? That's the man who tried to steal my wallet, okay? Yeah. So this was this lesson. Yeah, with all this analysis, it became a little more complex. You see, sometimes a subject follows, you see?
Yeah.
Sometimes this is the subject. Who saved is the subject, you see, of the next clause. Which costs also is the subject of the next clause. But in this, where I met my husband is not the subject, you see? So this is it. This is this lesson on relative clauses, and these are defining relative clauses. They say something about the previous noun over here, and this information makes it more specific. It's important. It changes the meaning of the sentence. Okay?